Greg Jackson, what an incredible opportunity to meet with you.
Thank you for saying so.
Greg, I've been following your career for so long. I know that you come from a wrestling background. Your brothers have all wrestled. Talked to you at length on the phone about people have spoken very highly about. What you've developed in New Mexico is just amazing.
Most of it honestly is just luck. I was lucky enough to get in MMA when it was in the United States. It was very early. The early 90s is when I started, so it's just that I've been doing it a long time, so I was very lucky. I mean, obviously, the Gracie family's been doing it forever, since the 20s. They have a lot of years on me, so I don't hold any illusions that I'm anything special. I was just lucky enough to be in the United States when it really started developing.
But you've come upon an incredible wealth of great fighters. I mean, you've brought in such incredible, great talent. You farmed great talent. You've gotten inside the head. This is the crux of what my interview is based on. How do you develop these guys' mind?
Well, you have to know the individual that you're dealing with first. I mean, how are they going to respond? Some people respond to nudging, some people respond to pushing. And so you just have to figure out who you're dealing with and then be able to try to motivate them, you know what I mean? Like you have to, like the old saying goes, you have to have a cause. Find something that motivates them, and then once you motivate a very talented individual, that's when good things will happen. If you have a talented individual that's not very motivated, you're not going to get the results you want. Also, if you have a very motivated person that isn't talented, you can still get great results, but the talent and the motivation are really where you're looking for something special. You want to look for those two things. So being able to understand the person that you're dealing with and how to talk to them and how to kind of guide them and motivate them is a big part of my job.
So here we have the old adage that says that you're not a great fighter unless you have a belief in a cause. You obviously believe in that. And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think you do need a cause. I mean, a cause makes you strong. And some people's cause is money. Some people is something bigger than that. A lot of people's respect or wanting to prove something, but you have to have a reason to do it. I mean, being a fighter is a very hard life. In some ways, it's very self-centered, selfish, because you have to worry about you all the time, and you get to be your own boss, etc., etc. But the grind, especially physically and mentally, the things that you go through, it's very hard. So you have to have something that drives that fire, and if you don't, you're just not going to have the same kind of intensity. Especially when fights come on. Once you're really pushed on a fight, if you have some good intensity and a cause, that can push you over that line where you might have quit before.
So you're always looking for performers that are actually very excellent in being able to excel at performance.
Right, because so much of it is, I mean, it's performance. We're not talking about military stuff now, which also is performance in a way, but we're talking about people that want to fight in front of other people. So in a very real way, it's performing, it's trying to inspire other people, it's to show other people an art form. It's meant to be done in front of others. So, yeah.
One of the things, I was talking to Joe Soto, who actually went to school with, and he was actually roommates with the great John Bone Jones. One of the things that he mentioned that he saw was John Bone Jones. He said he wasn't really a great workout party. He wasn't a great, but when it came time for the stage show, the performance, that's what made John Bone Jones.
Certainly there's what I would call game day fighters. Clay Guida is another great example of that. Guys that will just on game day, they bring it. That's when they shine. And you always want that. Like, you don't want the guy that's an amazing warrior in the gym, and then when the lights turn on him, they melt. You want the guy that's, the game day happens and the lights turn on and they go after it.
So let's go into the discussion of your great female champion that actually had an incredible match, a world-renowned match against Ronda Rousey. And she lost it to Miesha Tate.
Yeah, Holly is still, Holly Holmes, still learning, still developing as a mixed martial artist. So for me, it's still very early in her career as far as MMA is concerned. She's growing, she's getting better. But it's her determination and her heart that really set Holly apart for me. She's so tough, just mentally tough. And right after that loss, she was literally the next day back in the gym trying to figure out how she could improve, what she could do better. So just to see her determination in defeat was actually more impressive to me than her win over Ronda, just because she went right back to the drawing board and wanted to fight again immediately.
There's talk about a round robin that will take place between those three champions. Have you heard about that as well?
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Like who we fight isn't as important as when we're going to fight him. So if there's a round robin and all that stuff, as far as the sporting side of it, I don't have any control over it. All I have control over is who's in front of us next. So that's where I focus on. You know, who's the fighter that we're going to have to look at next. And so if it's either of those two, if it's somebody else, whoever it is, my job is to try to figure out how to win.
Greg, there's a lot of talk about how you're a student of war. You've read some really important, you've referenced the book of Sun Tzu, Book of Changes, Power of War. The audience know a little bit about your reading that really shapes your mind.
Well, I mean, people a lot smarter than me have studied combat a lot longer than I have. So I try to learn from them, and they've written some amazing books. The Book of Five Rings, I think, for hand-to-hand combat is the best book I've ever read on it. So referencing these things, seeing what other people have done in battles, trying to take their strategies and bring that over to the sport side of MMA has been, for me, a really important learning tool, not just with them, but what Bach did with music, how he inverted stuff, rhythm changes, all these things. And fighting is just, it's like dancing, right? They're both based on rhythm. So if you want to really understand rhythm, you need to look at the masters of that. So what they've taught me, what music has taught me about fighting, you just try to look at other sources and think in analogies and then pull from that knowledge and put it into your own.
You mentioned music before in your discussions. Let's talk about the new model, the new algorithm, the acting. You find yourself in Hollywood.
Yeah, the Hollywood thing is fun. It's really interesting. It's the art of pretending, but you have to be really good at it, and it's a lot harder than it would seem. And I'm thankfully not an actor. I enjoy being behind the camera much more than I enjoy.
So how do you lend the great vision of Greg Jackson with Kingdom?
Well, what they do is I do the consulting. So they ask me for ideas for the script. They have me read them. Would this happen? Would this not happen? How would this go down? Joe Stevenson is a fight choreographer, and so we make sure that the fights are realistic on that end. And a lot of it is just understanding the 25 years that I've been doing it, I've been at a very high level for a long time, thousands and thousands of fights at this point, I can't even count. So it's a lot of experience. So I put that experience into the consulting, saying, here's some things that happen. This character was, because I've known so many of them, acts like this, and so Byron Belasco was an amazing writer. He's like the Einstein of writing. He's a phenomenal writer, and he does all the writing and just kind of pulls ideas out of my head, and then he fleshes them out into this brilliant stuff.
So your element is studying the mind of the fighter.
The
character, the personality, the essence.
Yeah, I guess I have a lot of elements. That's part of it. Part of it is just keeping the show authentic. Just saying, this is how this would happen. That's not really hard because Byron is such an amazing writer. But yeah, my element is I bring 25 years of experience, ideas, and I'm like a checklist. You know what I mean? Like all these things. Would this go this way? And I say yes, yes, no. This would happen here. So I add the element of realism, so that no one can really say, okay, well, that's not an authentic piece of work, because at some point I've seen or been around all of these situations that happen in the show.
So it's fair to say that this is Greg Jackson from the cage to the stage.
I never thought of putting it like that, but I guess that's pretty accurate.
Can you say that for our audience?
Yeah, I guess it would be Greg Jackson from the cage to the stage.
Thank you so much, Greg. Appreciate your time. It's an honor.
Yeah, my honor.